Hi all, welcome to video 28 of Generative AI using Langchain and Databricks playlist. So in this video, we are going to introduce ourselves to chains in Langchain. Okay. In last video, I just showed you in one line simply, right, how to make use of chains, right? But from this video, we are going to understand in details about chain in Langchain. Okay. So basically, chain is very important part of Langchain. You see in the name itself, it is Langchain, right? So chain is the core part, very important, crucial part of Langchain, right? So in simple language, basically chain is what it is, a sequence of steps. It is connected together, right? Like the chain we see, the iron chain that we see, it is small components connected together to make a complete chain or a complete workflow, right? We can think of it is like a pipeline input, right? Then we are invoking the prompt the same way what we have done here, right? This one, sorry, this one, right? So we have prompt, then we are sending that prompt to LLM and then to parser, right? Now, um, important part, it is each step of the chain passes its output to next step, right? So the invoke template will be sent to LLM. LLM output will be sent to output parser, right? So each previous step is passing the output to next step, right? And simple real life analogy we can call, we all order food from, all the vendors, Zomato, Swiggy, a lot of things are there. I'm not going to promote anyone, just whatever, I got, I have just told you. So simple real life analogy we can say, what we do, we choose the food, we order it, then restaurant prepares the food, then delivery partner picks the food, and then food is delivered, right? And then we give whatever reviews and all these things. So this is how the food, right, food ordering chain look likes, right? And this is, for us it is like a workflow. As we define any workflow through chains in Langchain. Okay, so what do we do? Some user question is there, we put it in the prompt template, we send it to LLM, then we parse the output using output parser, and then we receive the final response. Small teaser we saw in the last video, right? This is how chains work. Okay, now we have seen, basically, here we didn't use the chain, so we can see it has increased the lines of code, okay, and it has increased the complexity also. And in case of bigger applications, it will increase the lines of code more and also the complexity, right? So LLM, we all know LLM application is made of small steps, right? So now if we run these steps individually, it increases lines of code, we have seen in last video, and it is very inefficient, right? And if we are building big applications, these additional manual efforts cost a lot. It costs a time, right? And definitely more time, more cost, right? So to avoid that, we can create the pipeline using chains, right? We can connect different components of the LLM, or we can different components of the workflow in one line or in pipeline without using them separately, without running them separately, right? And the specialty of chains, this is very important statement. The specialty of chain is the output of previous step becomes the input of next step automatically. You don't have to pass that like this one, right? You don't have to pass anything. It, the output of previous step becomes the input of next step automatically, right? We just provide input for the first step, right? Which is this one, we have given city country, we passed here input of first step, and it has given us the final output, right? And there are n number of advantages apart from this. We can create, there are a lot of types of chains. We can create sequential chain, we can create parallel chain, we can create conditional chains. N number of chains are there which we can create based on a use case, right? And simple chain example, I think we have already seen in last video. We will ask for prompts, right? So this is the prompt, okay? Then we will send it to LLM. We have sent it to LLM, right? And next we will parse that output, right? Okay, using output parser, or you can make use of with structured output function also, right? Now this is the line where we use this piped operator. This pipe operator we used, right? This is called Langchain expression language. right? Fine. Now, what is the need of chains? Okay, we will need to understand what will happen without chain. Without chain, we manually call each component the way we have done here. Manually, each component we are calling and invoking, right? Then code becomes repetitive, right? It is hard to manage, such big lines of code, right? Chains, what they do, they kind of automate the workflow, right? We can create the, let's say in Databricks, right? We have these jobs and pipelines where we can, create a pipeline. The same way, chain is like a pipeline for us. We can create a workflow, right? Through these chains. Okay. Basic example, this we have already seen. Without chain, what we do, we invoke the template first, right? And then we invoke the template first, then we invoke the prompt that is invoked against a model, and then we parse the output, right? All these things we have seen in last video. With chain, one line, one time invoke, done. Cleaner code, less lines of code, right? And optimized code. Fine. Now, advantages of chain, you all know, cleaner code, we don't need to write multiple steps, all things happen in one line. Then we can use the chain, we can reuse the chains, okay, in further code. Better modularity, basically, each component is separate. So if you see this prompt, right? Prompt is separate, model is separate, output parser is separate. Tomorrow, if I want to do any change in the prompt, I don't want to do, you know a lot of lines of code. Just this line, just this prompt I'll change, or I want to use some other model, I want to use some other output parser, right? So it's better code modularity, right? It makes the complex workflows easy, and mostly it is used in rack systems, AI agents, chatbot, right? And multi-step reasoning systems, right? Easier maintenance. Any component that you want to change, just change that one. That's all. Easy to maintain chains, right? And it supports chaining multiple LLM calls. So if you want to call the LLM multiple times in this chain, also possible, right? Fine. Disadvantages, for beginners, debugging can be difficult. They might, struggle to understand which part of the chain uh, has issues, right? And that might be difficult sometimes, right? More abstraction, basically many components are hidden internally, right? Here we have only three components, but in case of big chains, right, we can combine chains also. For example, this is one chain, right? I want to make one final change, I have two three chains, right? What I can do is this imaginary city chain, then some city, let's say year chain, something. Let's say I'm just giving an example, and then sample chain, right? Whatever it is. If I want to run all the chains together, I can do that also, right? So somehow it becomes little complicated, but if you are crystal clear of the concepts, it is not going to be the difficult for us, right? Complex chains sometimes become slow, right? That is fine, okay? And definitely, if one step is failing, right? If this step is failing, it is going to fail my entire application, right? And sometimes it is harder for production monitoring, right? Large enterprise change, basically they need logging, tracing, observability is very important factor nowadays, right? So these are few disadvantages, but advantages are much more better as compared to disadvantages. Disadvantages we are just learning, just so that we are aware of it, right? We are learning disadvantages to understand how it is important to have better concepts, how it is important to have crystal clear concepts, right? Fine. So this was introduction. I just wanted to give you introduction to chains, and uh, I think this is, let's say, basics or whatever details I wanted to pass on about chains. I have passed on to you, right? Next video, we will be learning what are the types of chains, what are all possible types of chain. That is also going to be a theoretical video. And from the next to next video, we are going to start with the hands-on code for the chains, right? Fine. That's all for this video. Just watch this video while you are having some walk, or while you are relaxed, right? That this will clear your concepts, right? Fine. That's all for this one. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.